are dealing with injuries. Allison, I believe it's a concussion, who he's still not out of concussion protocol. Marquez, neither one of those guys, actually neither one of their top three wide receivers practice at all this week. And so going up against the Raiders, who give up a ton of points to the wide receiver position, as well as to the tight end position, it very well could be Kumaro, Lazard, and Graham that are getting a lot of the work done for the Packers this week. A couple other ones. This is another one of those just in case. Darrell Henderson for the Rams. Both Gurley and Malcolm Brown are dealing with deep thigh bruises. As of right now, it looks like Gurley is likely to play on Sunday, going up against the Atlanta defense. The thing about Gurley is Gurley got at least a limited practice in today. Malcolm Brown still has not practiced the last 2 days. Darrell Henderson showed a bit of explosion in the game on this past Sunday against the 49ers. For some reason, they're just not seeming to want to give him too much of a load. If it just so happens that Gurley cannot make it, I don't think that Malcolm Brown is going to play this week. So that would basically leave all the backfield touches to Darrell Henderson. So this is more of that, kind of like what you were talking about with Cooper and Gallup. That if you've got Cooper and you're not sure he's going to play, having Gallup there as your, picking him up off the waiver, so you've got him as your backup, so that as soon as you find out, you can just make that switch, and you're not trying to decide, okay, now which team's defense or do I have to go up against? If you just simply all you're doing is making that switch, I think that Henderson could be a solid pickup. Jacoby Myers, the rookie wide receiver for New England, I think is a solid play this week, simply because you've got Julian Edelman, who is going to be the number one receiver for the Patriots this week, like he always is. But we still aren't sure if Philip Dorsett's going to be able to play. And Josh Gordon apparently is dealing with multiple injuries. He's dealing with a leg. I believe he's also dealing with an ankle or a calf injury. So he's not likely to play this weekend. So it may come down to Julian Edelman, Jacoby Myers, and they've got one more rookie wide receiver that has been involved a little bit, but for the most part, if those other two guys, if Gordon and Dorsett are not involved, Jacoby Myers has been the one that stepped up and has done a fairly good job. He was really the big breakout player in terms of the preseason. So I think that he could be a solid flex play depending on how deep your league is. And then the other thing that I put on here, a great sleeper picks, is basically the entire Bills offense. Again, they're going up against Miami, who has given up the most points to the quarterback, the second most points to running backs, the seventh most amount of points to the wide receiver position, and the 11th most points to the tight end position. So if you're desperate for a tight end, Dawson Knox may be an option. In terms of the wide receivers, I think that both Brown and Beasley are going to be solid options for you. And really, Singletary, I like this week. He's not going to be started all that much for most teams, so he may be a good, just counterintuitive type of DFS play.
Right.
But Frank Gore is going to get a lot of work as well. Just again, this Miami Dolphins team is so bad, the entire Bills offense should play pretty well.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, we got another minute or two to go. You have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Why don't you give us a pick?
All right, I think that the Chiefs are likely to win this one, but I would not be surprised if Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman really run all over the defense tonight of the Chiefs, who again give up the fifth most points to running back and the seventh most to the quarterback. So really, I think Flacco, if he's handing the ball off a lot to Lindsey and Freeman, and they're running the ball really well, I think that they can use play action to get the ball to Cortland Sutton and to Emmanuel Sanders. I think this could be a little bit of a shootout, but in the end, I think the Chiefs most likely prevail. So I'm going to go Chiefs, But with the caveat, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver's able to stop them up this week.
Well, yeah, talk about the most politically correct answer. You want to give us a score?
I would probably go 24-20, the Chiefs.
Okay, fair enough. We'll find out how it turns out on Tuesday when you return. Lewis, any final thoughts for Ryan real quick?
Yeah, hopefully Mahomes can come out and, show that quiet a little bit of those rumors surrounding the ankle. I know it's been bothering him all season, but this loss, if he were to lose Sunday, would be the first time in his career that he's lost 3 consecutive games. So,
correct.
I'm hoping he's good because Ryan, he's my fantasy quarterback too, so I got to make sure that it all starts with him. I got to make sure he's on his A game, but I'm not expecting that considering the status of his health right now.
Well, so now we know here that Mr. Lewis has a vested interest as why.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, lovely guy.
All right, Ryan. Well, I'll tell you what. Good work again tonight. We'll pick this bad boy up on Tuesday. If I have any other questions over the weekend, I have some waffling to do. I know how to get a hold of you. All right, Ryan.
Sounds great.
All right, have a good night. Thank you for being on the Sports Exchange, Ryan. And once again, congratulations on your 250th show. And I'm sure you'll have 250 more. All right, buddy?
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you. All right, so Ryan Schoolroot, everybody. Some thoughts, Lewis, about what you took out of that.
I mean, given, Mahomes' status with his ankle injury and the fact that it's really bothered him for a majority of this season, I genuinely think that they really need to rely a lot heavily on guys like LaShawn McCoy and their run game to really offset a lot of that. Because as we see, Mahomes, when he's healthy, he's dynamic. He's a very good quarterback as far as throwing on the run is concerned. You know that. You've seen that.
Oh yeah.
We saw that pass a couple of weeks ago where he literally looked back at a ref and then dropped back for 25 yards. So I mean, yeah, is he going to be compromised a little bit? Yeah. Are they playing tonight? Yeah. And will I be invested to see how that turns out? Yes, because, in my opinion, fantasy quarterbacks are really what kind of set the tone for your entire week. And, I'm excited to see how he does. He's one of those guys who I really love to see play. And I just genuinely hope he's able to guide the Chiefs through Von Miller and that Denver defense.
Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned LaShawn McCoy because I've been wondering when this guy's going to wake up. I have him on my team too, but I don't need him this week, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But at some point or another, the Chiefs have to become more balanced. They need to do it. You can't be so one-dimensional where you take away your running attack. If you do, they're not going to get very far. They haven't even made it to the Super Bowl in ages anyway. So.
And if you think about this, we know that their defense really isn't that good. I mean, they have been playing close games. I mean, the last 2 games that they lost were by 1 and 7 points. Again, this is the first time this year that they've lost back-to-back games, and only the second time in Mahomes' career that he's done that. But if their defense continues to falter, I genuinely think you could see this team. You could see the Patriots further run away with the AFC, right. And then you could just see the Chiefs, fall apart. But I'm not going to count anything out against Patrick Mahomes. He's already showed me so far that he's maybe the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL, and maybe the most dynamic that we've seen since the early days of Michael Vick. So, again, I'm pulling for the guy. I love the guy. His dad played Major League Baseball, so that means a lot to me.
Right.
But I know I'm rooting for the dude. I can't really say it enough.
Yeah, but the one way that you can offset a defense which isn't good is you got to control the football and
that's
keep
true. Time of possession.
Right.
And what's funny is, and you make a very good point there. What the game that they lost to the Colts, which was a 19-13 score. Right. We know Jacoby Brissett is not really an elite passing quarterback. A lot of advanced football metrics tell us that. The time of possession in that game, when I was looking through it in the NFL notes a couple weeks ago, the Colts had possession of the ball for 37 minutes. The Chiefs 23. So obviously, given that the Colts had to rely heavily on a run game because of Brissett's passing inabilities, is the reason that they lost the game. Mahomes necessarily just didn't have enough time of possession to really do anything meaningful, and that's why they lost. If Joe Flacco can kind of establish something with his run game tonight, then Kansas City could lose a 3rd game in a row. I don't want that, but again, it could happen given that Mahomes' inability to be healthy. It seems like last couple of weeks. And his passing percentage is 56% the last 3 weeks. And that's a lot different. It's essentially Jekyll and Hyde with what we've seen so far.
All right. We want to welcome, with that said, Lewis, we welcome Anthony Wood back to the Sports Exchange. Anthony, thanks for being with us tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Lewis, you have any questions before we get going here?
No,
Anthony?
I mean, First off, Anthony, brief. What did you think of Gronk's first segment on Fox Sunday Night Football?
I actually didn't get round to seeing it, if I'm honest with you. I completely forgot about that, so I was focusing on watching the Texans and rewatching that, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, man. I mean, I think he's going to be a very entertaining character. He's going to be the new Terry Bradshaw, minus maybe some of the concussion damage that we see in Bradshaw on screen. But, I think Gronk's going to be fun. He may exude a little bit of a Patriots bias, but yeah, I mean, we'll see more as the weeks go on, right? NFL's a week-to-week kind of thing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he did say himself, he was asked again about retirement, wasn't he? And he said, well, I retired for a reason, so I think it's safe to say he won't be back this year unless something miraculous happens over at the Patriots.
Okay, well, with that said, let's start off with the XFL, not the NFL. There, you have some pretty interesting player movement there.
Yeah, so the XFL, obviously, we've heard of it once before. It's come back, it's turned its head around again, and it's back next February. It'll be kicking off. And yes, they just had their first, their inaugural XFL draft for this sort of version of it under Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon, obviously. So the bigger players taken, primarily quarterbacks, I'll focus on here. So quarterback Andrew Jones, formerly a Steelers QB, has gone to the Dallas Renegades. It reunites him with his former college coach, Coach Stoops. Cardell Jones, formerly of the Chargers, has gone to the DC Defenders. Jordan Ta'amu, formerly of the Texans, has gone to the St. Louis Battlehawks. Luis Perez, formerly a AAF player and also LA Rams briefly, has gone to the LA Wildcats. Matt McGloin, another sort of NFL journeyman, formerly of the Raiders, has gone to the New York Guardians. Connor Cook, another former Raiders QB, played in a playoff game. He's gone to the Houston Roughnecks. Wide receiver McKeely McKay has gone to New York Guardians as well, someone to look out for. He did very well in the AAF. Wide receiver Sammy Coates, another former NFL player there, has gone to Houston as well. QB Brogan Roback, someone you may or may not recognize from Browns Hard Knocks a couple of years ago. He is also signed with the St. Louis Battlehawks. Running back Kenneth Barrett, formerly an NFL back with the Chargers. Again, another very productive back when he was in the AAF, has gone to Seattle with Dragons. Trent Richardson is one of the surprising players not taken. He was very productive when in the AAF earlier this year. And by all accounts, he was in the pool, he was ready to go, but no one has risked taking him up, which was a bit of a surprise. And another surprising player to be left out so far as Zach Mettenberg, former LSU and, of course, Titans QB, has also been left out. Not entirely sure why at this point in time, but he's certainly one of the more surprising players. And some people have also mentioned the likes of Manziel and Kaepernick. Now, neither of them were in the XFL draft pool, so they weren't eligible to be selected, but who knows, perhaps there'll be players to look out for in the future. But it's certainly been an interesting couple of days with regards to the XFL, and there's plenty of names to look out for when they kick off in February.
Yeah, a little footnote about Connor Cook. He's a former Michigan State Spartan. Now, as far as Trent Richardson, he's definitely a bust in the NFL, and I hear he only averaged 2.9 yards a carry when he was in the Alliance of American Football League, and during and Zach Mettenberger just proved he couldn't play. I mean, he had opportunities, and some of his flaws were what they are, and considering there's so many quarterbacks out there, I'm not surprised that either of these two didn't even land. So.
Well, Trent Richardson had, yes, his average wasn't spectacular, but he had some very explosive plays, especially early on in the season. He looked really promising, and so it was surprising not to see more people at least give him a shot during training camp this summer in the NFL, and then it was extremely surprising not to see him taken here, given that it is an upstart league. But, he hasn't been picked up so far, so let's see if that happens once injuries start kicking in.
Well, from what Bill Winters always tells me, there'll be other supplemental drafts later in the year, so that's why whatever the XFL draft has, to me, don't put a whole lot of stock in what you call the first impression kind of thing. It doesn't, but I don't know how many. Now I'd be hard pressed to really believe in my mind that Johnny Manziel and his baggage would end up there. The only chance he has to ever land in the league is if June Jones picks him up, because that was his coach in Canada and he believed in him. But I think Johnny's options are limited, and Colin Kaepernick is not going to play in any league unless he plays in Iceland or Siberia. So.
Well, something that might hurt the likes of Manziel is Vince McMahon has been very stern in the fact that one of their rules says that if you have any sort of criminal record at all, any sort of history, you cannot play in this league. It's as simple as that. He was asked about Antonio Brown. He said, no, he won't be in this league. He hasn't got a place here. Same happened to Ryan Mallett, former Texans QB, obviously with the Ravens as well. He was supposed to be in this pool, but then shortly before the draft, he was arrested and we haven't heard anything from him since. So he was obviously blackballed from the league as well. So I don't know. I know obviously Manziel has quite a history. I don't know if, personally, I don't remember if that has anything